I mentioned, I think a lot of couples just kind of like they start off living together, they're happy, and then they're wondering, we can continue happily like this, or should we get married, right? Should we tie the knot? Let's start with the being married, being legally married. What are the advantages? I guess there'll be disadvantages, like sort of legal obligations, rights and obligations in being married. Maybe Eva?
Sure. So, well, I mean, certainly the property division is the biggest one,
Right.
right? So, if you're not legally married, then if you are not sure about the how long your relationship is going to last, or if your relationship is going to last a couple of years or longer, staying common law
Mhm.
does protect your individual assets for a certain period of time, not forever, but if there's a young family that's not sure if they're going to be together in 3 years or 5 years for whatever reason, right? Their jobs may take them elsewhere. Maybe they still don't know if they're going to have children together, maybe health reasons. Yeah, you don't need to rush to get legally married because the law assumes when you get legally married that you are contributing to each other's financial wealth. And therefore, all individual assets get split, right? So that's probably the main advantage or disadvantage
Depending on who.
of, right?
Yeah.
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 Laura, did you want to add to that?
Sure. I mean, some of other benefits, if we're looking at just the benefits for now, would be some tax benefits.
Uh-huh.
So once you are legally married, then you can you can have more opportunities to income split for couples versus the ones that you're not legally married. Also, some that we see all the time, or actually during the separation as well, it's health benefits, right? So legally married spouses are automatically permitted by health plans, health and dental plans, to be on their spouses plan. So that is a benefit, as you can imagine, for many families, especially if they navigate any medical issues. And the next of kin status, I was thinking about it. I'm not sure if that is necessarily the one of them, but it is an advantage that you become automatically, you recognize as the next of kin, which simplifies sometimes the process, the medical process or legal matters, as opposed to not being recognized, right? So legal marriage gives you that recognition versus not legally married.
What are the biggest disadvantage that people have mentioned to me about getting married? And this is one of the reasons why some people actually fear tying the knot, is that whole divorce thing. Because there's been a lot of talk about how horrible the divorce process is. What do you think about that comment?
Exactly what Eva had mentioned. It's in that vein of losing essentially the right to your sole assets. So that gets into the family pot. They get divided at the of course, if you don't have a cohabitation agreement that stipulates clearly that it won't be divided, you keep them, but you're losing that. So everything that you gain during the marriage, and it's in your name, it doesn't matter. That gets in the pot and gets divided. You may also lose, from a tax perspective, some benefits, right? Because as a single income, you will probably benefit from different tax credits and social assistance, whereas when you are legally married, you're losing those, because even if your income would be a little bit lower, then they would look at household income. So now you have the benefit of household income, but on the other side of the coin, from a CRA perspective or a tax perspective, you may lose some tax credits that you may get as a single person.
So now, actually, I wonder if we even need to go to this second question that the viewer is asking, was what are the long-term risks of remaining as a common law couple without getting married? Does any one of you want to take that question?
Well, I mean, Laura and I often deal with families who don't realize that So a lot of people are somewhat aware that if they're common law, they don't divide their individual assets, but they're not aware of the 18-year rule. That if you've been together for 18 years or more, then the law kind of recognizes certain relationships of that duration as a marriage. And therefore, there could be families that have to divide their individual assets, like pensions and things like that. So I would say, I think I would tell any family, especially a family that's common law, is to make sure that if they're going to be common law for a very long time, to understand what their rights are, not only in the case of a breakup, but Laura, like Laura said, in the case of a death,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not joint owners of property, or if you haven't listed your common law spouse as a beneficiary, it may not be assumed that they inherit what you want them to inherit unless you have a will or it's written down somewhere. So, I think Laura and I do see quite a few common law families on the separation side that are surprised about the law. Whereas usually married families are a little bit more aware. But yeah, I would say that, at the end of the day, I think the difference between families who choose to legally marry versus those that don't, I think people marry mostly for cultural and religious reasons, right?
Mhm.
But they don't realize that there is a huge financial impact. And the cohabitation agreement slash marriage contract can speak to that, can speak to, hey, we hope you have a long marriage for the rest of your life and everything's good. But if you happen to break up, right? This is how you're going to divide your finances. This is how you're going to divide the family pot. And I think for a lot of families that can be instructive.
Yeah, that's good. Laura, do you have anything to add?
For families, I believe, for couples or young couples who are considering, being in a relationship, whether that's common law or marriage, even going through the process of understanding the legal rights and the consequences of either one of them, I think it's powerful enough in order to structure their relationship accordingly. Because not having the either the understanding, or I know a marriage contract or a cohabitation agreement is not the sexiest topic to have, even when you are on best terms. Although you're absolutely right, Heather, that would be the best the best sort of way to start creating the terms of an agreement, or at least having awareness of what you each have, what you each want and desire, because it puts some cards on the table in terms of not just financial, how much dollar do I get at the end, and but it also enlightens couples of each other, of the other's perception and philosophy and value system, when it comes to inheritances, when it comes to dividing what they've brought into the relationship versus dividing what they have gained together or earned together, right? I mean, one of the things also that families can also, or couples can also include in there, which we didn't touch on, it's also how do they settle debts, right? So debts is a big one, right? Sure, there's assets, we can protect assets and pensions and things like that, and TFSAs, absolutely. But how about debts incurred, during the relationship? That is a very good topic as well, and that's very telling when you have a discussion with your partner about how they feel, how we move forward in this sort of what could be a very unexpected financial structure. So I think awareness is very important.
And debts can be covered, of course, in these marital contracts, right? You can have that.
Yes, absolutely. Just like assets, you can have you can have clauses that speak to how do you divide the debts, whether the personal debts are your own responsibility, or whether all the debts that we've accumulated during the relationship are both a joint responsibility. So certainly, that's a huge topic, I believe, that needs to be, right? So I think when you think about the real world impact that these conversations would have, are above and beyond the just what we put in the clauses, but it allows you to actually see a side of your partner too. It gives you a little bit of a window into how your partner view may sort of unfold in your relationship, which I think it's a great advantage.
So, Eva, do you have any last words before we finish up?
Overall, I think this has been informative. I can appreciate, I have a soft spot for people who are afraid to have the conversation. These days, the way dating culture is, finding your partner is such a special thing. And for many people, the last thing they want to think about is separating and divorce. And a lot of people carry trauma and stigma about it. But it doesn't have to be scary. It can be an approach where it is very fair and there is an acknowledgement of love and respect that you have for the other person, to say, if this does break up, we hope it never does, but if it does, I want it to be handled in a peaceful way. And there's no better gift you can give yourself or the person you love than doing that. And so I would just probably end on that note.
Absolutely, that's beautifully said. I mean, because this is perfect for me as a person who I feel like it's very off-putting if my partner were to kind of ask questions. And first of all, we hate talking about money, right? But that's another thing. We hate talking about money, and it's kind of like, well, so I guess you don't really love me that much. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for coming in today. And for those of you who are new here, there is a directory of all the videos that we've done today. And also, as I said before, there's going to be a link to all the other videos I did with Eva and Laura. So you can just go to the description box to access those. And thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.